afternoon. Today we are with the English teacher Edgar Lucero, and we are going to do an interview.
Okay, so the purpose of this interview is to know the teacher's conceptions about listening and speaking skills. My name is Sylvia.
And my name is Daniela.
And I am teacher Edgar Lucero.
So the first question is, what kind of strategies do you use in your classes to help students develop their speaking skills?
There are many strategies to use. Some of them are the communicative strategies. There are also interactional strategies. There are also strategic strategies, that is part of the communicative competence. And we have discourse strategies as well. I'm going to elaborate a little bit each one. When we talk about communication strategies, is how the students can say what they need to say. So creating the environment for that. And obviously giving the students with a good topic to talk. Interactional strategies are those ones for interruption, for clarification, for interjection, for overlapping, etc. When we say strategic, part of the competence is just when the students present a breakdown and they don't know how to say something. So they are going to create their own strategies from language to construct the meaning that they want to communicate. And the other one was? Discourse strategy, thank you, I didn't remember. Discourse strategies are how the students elaborate whole arguments, whole support of the ideas that they want to express. Usually when we are in classes, we just ask questions to the students and they just reply with one or with two words. Like, what is the best way to initiate conversations in the classroom? And they start saying something like dialogues. But they do not elaborate the complete answer for dialogues. So I always demand more elaboration on those ideas.
Okay, teacher. The next question is, from your experience, what do you think is the best way to develop speaking strategies?
Creating a good atmosphere in the classroom, good environments. Sometimes we need to talk about topics that the students do not feel comfortable with. Like, for example, talking about literacy or talking about interculturality. Those are topics that sometimes are hard for the students to talk about. But if we just thread the conversation little by little, and we developed that interaction a bit first, then a bit more later, even more and more each time, so we can create an interactional classroom that is more relevant than just, for example, asking the students to elaborate a complete presentation about something when the students only present and the others simply listen. It's just more interactional. Okay, sometimes it is possible, sometimes it is not. It depends on many factors, like the students' mood, the teacher's mood also, the students' attitudes, and the students' knowledge of that specific topic.
Okay, teacher, and how do you teach listening and speaking skills to your students?
I do not teach them, because I cannot teach speaking. I cannot teach listening. What I do is practicing different speaking strategies, different speaking skills, different speaking alternatives with my students, as I do with listening. I do not teach listening. I cannot teach it. I cannot imagine how, just by playing a CD and listening to people talking, I'm teaching listening. That's not the way. Okay? I do not see it in that way.
Okay. And finally, how do you know if the listening and speaking strategies are effective?
I have a problem with that question as well. The term effective. Effective is for whom? For you.
For students.
But each student may have their own conception about effective. Right? Possibly one activity that I have planned, in my opinion, is fully effective because the students need to listen to something, need to speak it to something. But possibly for you in the class, it is not effective. But for you, it is. So effective is very subjective. It depends on the person, how the person sees if it is effective or not. Something that I'm going to take advantage of this interview, and for the ones who are going to watch this interview, is that we need to stop thinking of teaching as something effective, because it means instrumentalizing teaching, it means mechanizing teaching. And actually teaching does not happen in that way. Teaching is more sharing, is more interacting, is more talking sometimes about one thing because you are interested in that belongs to something a general topic that we're talking, and then leaping into what you want to say as well. And just creating those dynamics. Teaching is not classroom. Only classroom. Teaching can happen everywhere. That depends on how we just see those. But in how do I know if actually my students are following or developing a bit more of speaking skills, or speaking strategies are different, or listening ones, is how they perform in the class. And I am not talking about performing with quantity, because sometimes we have students in a classroom that never participate, but it does not mean that they are not listening or that they are not developing more ideas of how to listen or be more attentive to listening. They are doing that. Or sometimes when students do not participate, they are not creating some ways, either mental or socially, to start speaking in another moment. It could happen.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye. Thank
Okay,
you.
bye.